Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Because when you think about commercial farming for aquatic life, right, the image in your head is almost always the same.
Yeah, big muddy pond.
Exactly. An open earth pond, probably somewhere super rural. It's murky, it's subject to the weather, and it's basically just an attempt to corral nature into a wet rectangle and, hope for the best.
Which is, to be fair, how all agriculture started. But from a modern supply chain perspective, operating an open system like that is a complete logistical nightmare.
Right.
You're just entirely at the mercy of variables you can't control.
And that is exactly why the source material we're looking at today is so fascinating. We are taking a deep dive into the work of a Malaysian agri-tech company called Ecoladang Microfarms.
Yes, they're advanced aquaculture systems.
Right. And the mission for our deep dive today is to explore exactly how they are taking sensitive species like fish and crabs out of those unpredictable muddy ponds and putting them into these highly controlled, AI-driven vertical environments.
What's fascinating here is that Ecoladang isn't just, solving one small problem in agriculture.
Yeah.
They're completely redefining the ecosystem. They're merging extreme high-density farming with artificial intelligence and closed-loop biology.
So for you listening, if you've ever wondered how we're actually going to sustainably feed a growing population without just destroying all our natural waterways, this deep dive gives a surprisingly high-tech and space-saving answer to that.
It really does. But, before we get into the really crazy futuristic tech, we have to establish the baseline problem.
We need to know what's wrong with the current way to appreciate the new way.
Exactly. Ecoladang's whole transition away from traditional earth ponds is about decoupling aquaculture from nature.
Because nature is unpredictable.
Right. And by doing that, they eliminate three massive variables. First is environmental contamination, agricultural runoff, pesticides. They all end up in the ponds.
Which is terrible for the fish.
Right. Second is predator loss, which is pretty obvious.
Birds got to eat, too.
Yeah, exactly. But the third, and really the most devastating one, is seasonal water quality shifts.
I mean, that makes sense. A huge rainstorm hits and suddenly your pond's chemistry is totally wrecked.
Exactly. The pH crashes, the temperature swings. And so to solve this, Ecoladang uses what they call the AgriShack.
The AgriShack, I love that name.
It's essentially the infrastructure they use to house their recirculating aquaculture systems, or RAS, and it prioritizes pristine water health and explosive growth rates.
So it's basically like instead of traditional pond farming, which is like camping out in the wild where you're at the mercy of the elements, the AgriShack is like moving the fish into a climate-controlled luxury high-rise.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
You are building a luxury high-rise, and building on that idea, the architecture inside is completely specialized, especially for the most difficult residents, which are crustaceans.
Right, the crabs. Because farming crabs in a high-density setup sounds like a nightmare.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
But the density they achieve in their vertical crustacean node is incredible.
Yeah, the specs in the documents for this are wild. They have these custom-engineered stackable containers. They measure exactly 40 by 40 by 25 centimeters, and they have integrated plumbing right into the box.
And the scale is just massive.
I know. Up to 300 individual units per wall, stacked 8 high. And they use these for mud crabs, flower crabs, and even lobsters and crayfish.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to understand why these individual containers are so revolutionary.
Why not just put them all in one big tank?
Exactly. The absolute #1 failure point in crab farming is cannibalism.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When they molt, they are defenseless. If they're in a shared space, the others will just eat them.
So giving them individual housing stops the cannibalism.
Right. And it also allows for precision feeding and totally isolated health monitoring.
Okay, but wait. Here's where it gets really interesting to me, but also, like, a bit mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Are we really just putting hundreds of crabs in their own tiny apartments? I mean, how do you even manage a wall of 300 individual crab boxes without losing your mind?
Manually. You don't. But that's the beauty of this level of control. And it isn't just for crabs either.
Right.
This controlled environment allows farmers to cultivate incredibly sensitive, high-reward species that would literally never survive in a muddy outdoor pond.
The variety of life the AgriShack supports is honestly like a high-margin menagerie. I mean, the sources mention tiger prawns, udang gala, which are giant freshwater prawns, and they divide their premium finfish into specific zones.
Yes, Zone A and Zone B.
Exactly. Zone A is indoors for the really sensitive species, and Zone B is outdoors for the more robust ones like Tilapia and Specialist Catfish.
And they don't stop there.
No, they don't. They even have adventurous bio-niches like frogs
Frogs, yes, yeah,
and PCDS-managed salinity hanging lines for oysters and mussels. It's just a crazy amount of biodiversity.
it is. But I want to draw attention to what the sources call the kings of the river.
Ah, yes, the really high-end stuff.
Right. Specifically the impuro fish. This is the most expensive fish in Malaysia.
Wait, really? The
Uh,
most expensive?
Yes. But they are incredibly slow growing.
Ah, so that's the catch.
Exactly. Because they take so long to grow, the risk of losing them to a storm or a disease in an outdoor pond is just too high. They absolutely require the strict biosecurity of an AgriShack lab.
That makes total sense. You can't gamble a multi-year investment on the weather.
Right. And the sources also highlight jade perch, which command huge premiums because they have incredibly high omega-3 levels, and they happen to thrive in these indoor RES systems.
Okay, so we've built this indoor fortress full of the absolute most expensive fish and crabs in Malaysia, but that brings up a glaring logistical issue for me.
The cost.
Exactly. What does this all mean for resources? Feeding this massive, high-density aquatic population must cost an absolute fortune, right?
Well, commercial feed is definitely the #1 cost in standard aquaculture.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
But Eco-Ladang eliminates this entirely.
Entirely.
Yes. They achieve this through circular integration. The farm acts as the primary consumer for its own biohub insect farming output.
Okay, insect farming. Tell me more about that.
They cultivate black soldier fly larvae, or BSF, and cricket meal.
So they're just feeding bugs to the fish.
Basically, yes. And it completely removes their reliance on external commercial feed.
That is brilliant. But wait, the loop goes even further than that, doesn't it?
It does. Think about all the wastewater from those high-density fish and crab tanks.
Yeah.
In a normal system, that nutrient-rich waste is a massive pollution hazard if it gets into a river.
Right. It causes algae blooms and destroys the local ecosystem.
Exactly. But Eco-Ladang doesn't dump it. They flow that wastewater directly into an advanced plant cultivation unit.
So hydroponics.
Yes. The plants eat the nutrients, which filters the water, perfectly closing the biological loop.
It's literally like a perpetual motion machine of protein. I mean, the bugs feed the fish waste feeds the plants. It is nature's supply chain, just perfectly boxed up.
Boxed up and highly optimized.
But this brings up a massive realization for me. Managing insect farms, high-density crustacean condos, sensitive weather kings, and plant hydroponics simultaneously.
It's a lot of moving parts.
A lot. It sounds like an absolute logistical nightmare for a human farmer. Like, how does one person or even a team track all of that?
They don't.
Huh.
And this is where we introduce the true brain of the Eco-Ladang microfarm.
The SCIs.
Yes, the Sovereign Artificial Intelligence Spaces. The SAIs is an on-site, physically hardened mini AI data center.
Wait, an actual data center on a farm?
Yes, and it manages the entire operation.
Okay, but this raises an important question, right? Is it just like a fancy dashboard that beeps when the water level is low?
Not at all. It doesn't just run standard operating procedures to monitor the crabs and fish.
Yeah.
It actively learns and optimizes the whole biological system.
But here is the ultimate plot twist from the source material. This blew my mind.
Oh, the revenue aspect.
Yes, the SA system isn't just an overhead cost. It isn't just a management tool. It proactively earns revenue by offering sovereign compute services globally.
Exactly. It's a dual revenue model.
And the craziest part is how they power it. The farm generates its own clean power from agricultural waste. They use biomass energy to power the microfarms, and that same energy powers the data center.
It is absolute self-reliance. You've got an off-grid farm powering an advanced AI hub.
Okay, let me just summarize this deep dive for you because this has been a wild ride. We started by looking at a way to save crabs from just eating each other in muddy ponds,
Yeah.
right?
That was the entry point, yes.
And we ended up uncovering this vertically integrated, self-powered, AI-managed ecosystem. It produces high-end protein, everything from bugs to the impuro fish, while simultaneously acting as a global data center.
It really emphasizes the value of sovereign architecture. The idea here is that underutilized farmland can actually be transformed into a self-sustaining economic engine.
Yeah.
It provides both absolute food security and real technological utility, totally without relying on outside commercial feed or even traditional power grids.
It's incredible. So to wrap this up, I will leave you with a final thought to mull over. If a rural microfarm can use its own agricultural waste to power a hardened AI data center that sells global compute services, all while simultaneously raising the most expensive fish in the world, how will this blur the lines between technology companies and food producers in the future? when your local farmer is also your cloud server provider who really owns the future of the supply chain.